Did you know January is considered to be divorce month? Well, Julia Fogarty from the law firm Shulman Partners joins us now with more on how to make it smoother and less expensive. So let's start off with, why is January divorce month?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me here today, Annette.
Welcome, yes.
January is divorce month because December tends to be a very hectic, high-stress month. People try to get through December to get to January where there's less events, less awkwardness, less family-motivated concerns, essentially. Like if you have children, you want to get through Christmas because you want them to enjoy Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Things of that nature.
And it's also when the bills from Christmas start to come in.
That too, yes.
Okay, so a lot of people.
Hi. Sorry. I hate to interrupt, but I don't think your microphone is on.
Oh,
no.
Well, thank you.
I'm just going to have you turn, and I'm just going to,
Okay, so we're going to keep talking.
Ignore
Emily is not a puppet.
I am not a puppet.
I thought you were running in for divorce expert.
See, I am divorced, so it kind of makes sense.
I mean, I can leave a few cards.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can do that. You could probably, in a newsroom, yes. Okay, so, and also when we were talking before, Julia, it was like you were saying that a lot more couples.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. A lot more couples are going for mediation. And mediation isn't necessarily something I associate with a lawyer.
Absolutely. You know what? It's nice to use an alternative dispute resolution mechanism because it gives you more control over the process. When you go to court, you're subject to court rules, you're subject to court deadlines. Also, you have less privacy. Mm-hmm. When you go into mediation, the things that are said in mediation don't follow you to court, right? So it's a little quicker. Sometimes nobody ends up perfectly happy because mediation, you come up with your own resolution and it's something that you do on consent, right? Nobody can impose any kind of decision on one party or the other. Whereas in court, you go there, you have a third party who hears your case, who may or may not understand, you know, what it is you're seeking, what it is you're looking for, who may not see the facts the way you see the facts, and then they impose a decision. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
Okay, and a lot easier as well if both parties kind of can come to an agreement even before they reach a law office. And you're seeing a growing trend that couples, because they know that divorces are very expensive, contested divorces.
They can be, yes, absolutely. I mean, divorce is probably the worst time in someone's life. You go into it, you have to go through and account for everything that happened throughout the course of your marriage. Like when we look at divorcing, you have to look at all of your records from the time you got married, all of the records from the time you got separated.
Financial records,
Exactly.
Ownership records, everything, right?
Exactly, and some people find that very difficult. One, because you're reliving past trauma.
Yeah.
And two, sometimes time passes and some of these records are no longer available. So going back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to figure out what you had going into the relationship is very difficult.
And especially if there's a relationship imbalance.
Exactly.
Where it could be there was an affair, it could be a number of issues.
Well, here in Ontario, we're actually a no-fault divorce province, which means the affair doesn't really have a bearing on whether or not assets are divided one way or the other.
Right, but I'm thinking from an emotional state.
From an emotional state, absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you have hurt feelings, I mean, it's hard to make decisions and act very, very rationally. And if you're making decisions that aren't necessarily in your best interest, you're also increasing your costs. You're making this process longer and more expensive for yourself.
Right, because that ends up being like, I wanna win this divorce, right? And it shouldn't be seen as a win or a lose.
No, because you know what, at the end of the day, I think your peace of mind and your ability to move forward and move on, that's the real win.
That's where the healing starts, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your biggest piece of advice for maybe couples coming in that are like, even couples that are thinking of separating?
I would say take an inventory of your life. And I don't mean that from the perspective of property. I mean that from an emotional and psychological perspective. Because you need to make sure that, one, you're sure you want to do this. It is a big undertaking. And two, you need to have your head straight when you go through this process, whether that involves counseling or any other, mechanism available to you, support groups, just your family support system. discuss it, make sure that that's what you really want to do before you go through with it.
And kind of picture how your life is going to be at the end of it and what
Exactly.
you want at the end of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Having clear goals is the best thing you could do going
Okay.
into this.
All right, we'll get your all the links set up to your office from our on our website at chch.com/morninglive. Julia, thanks very much, and hopefully this brings some good advice and comfort to people going through this.
I hope so too. I hope so too. And we're always available if anyone needs something.
Okay.